Hi guys, this is the build-up review of the T-33A from Academy. This is a 48 scale kit. It's quite aged, but it can be made into a real nice representation of the kit, even though a new version, a more modern model kit is heavily overdue. As usual with the airplane kits, I go along with the instruction sheet that tells me to start with the cockpit. The cockpit is quite okay as far as the side panels are concerned, but the seats and so on, they just don't do. Here you can see me noting down the paints and writing them into the instruction because I find it quite tedious to have to look them up all the time. When you go into that build, you pretty early realize that a lot of the parts don't fit very well, so you're in for quite a bit of sanding and filing. The seats of the kit are really most basic. They're just comprising of two parts, and the backside is open and there are sinkholes. So there's a good bit of covering up to be done, some filing, and I decided to glue a piece of styrene strip to the back as to cover up the voids on the backside. Due to a lack of positive fit for many parts, I decided in this very early stage to get the fuselage halves cleaned up and ready for dry fitting, because you never really know where the parts of the cockpit go until you really put it in there. Due to the fact that the seats of the kit are so basic, I decided to cover them up using some pilots. I chose the PJ resin pilots, US Air Force 1960s. These are made in Belgium and they are quite nice really, and they are not very expensive. As most resin kits, the work starts with some parts cleanup. There are mold lines and a little bit of overpour and everything. And then of course these pilots never really fit into the seat, so you have to cut the seats up to make the pilot fit. Oh, by the way, I'm really sorry that a lot of this video will be showing me doing things at the very edge of the screen or beyond it. So I'm very sorry I have no positive control of to see what I'm doing really on the screen. So I'm sorry about that. What's valid for most of the older kit is especially valid for this one. You need to dry fit, dry fit, dry fit. You just can't avoid it because otherwise you will end up with stuff that just don't fit. Here you can see the pilot assembled and painted with a black primer. Now there is a couple of things to do about the seat, as to be able to glue all these things together and have everything ready for painting. While cockpit parts and pilots and everything needs drying from with the primer, I'm getting other parts of the fuselage done and ready to install. For example, here these are the caps for the gun ports that because in this plane I will build, these will be covered up. This plane will have no guns. It's quite interesting to see that many parts of the Academy kit fit really well on one side, and on the other side it's basically a pain to get them to fit. I guess that is due to the fact that all these older molds were made by hand actually, and not by CNC. In general, the parts fit is okay as long as nothing is inside of the hull. As soon as the cockpit's in there, it's a whole different game. Here you can see me dry fit the primed cockpit and pilot. Well, now I'm turning my attention to the second pilot. While the second pilot is drying up, I install parts to the fuselage. These are the covers of the air inlets, the jet inlets on either side of the fuselage. The parts fit is really poor, and there's a lot of gaps. Here you can see me filling these gaps with white glue. These will dry into a very nice film that will take on the paint very well. Next step is the jet exhaust, which is a poorly fitting part as well. You need to be really careful to have it lined up properly in the end. I did pay a lot of attention, but in the end it came out just a little bit crooked. At this point I'm turning my attention to the wing assembly. First of all, of course, you need to cut and clean up the parts from the tree. And at this point I decided to build the plane in flight, so I would close down all the wheel wells in the main center section of the wing assembly and on the forward fuselage. Parts fit seem good at this time too, but later on I realized that fitting the center wheel well and the fuselage halves together was pretty difficult, and I had to take quite a bit away, so leaving the wheel wells open would have given me a big headache in this kit. Usually I take the major parts of a sub-assembly from the tree altogether, clean them all up, and then I build a sub-assembly. And as you see me doing this, I say thank you for tuning in, and please check back for the second installation of this build. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.